Manderley speaking to Davos. When treating with liars, even an honest man must lie. I did not dare defy King's Landings so long as my last living son remained a captive. Lord Tywin Lannister wrote me himself to say that he had Willis. I love George's writing. If I would have him freed unharmed, he told me, I must repent my treason, yield my city, declare my loyalty to the boy king on the Iron Throne, and bend my knee to Roose Bolton, his warden of the North. Should I refuse, Willis would die a traitor's death. White Harbor would be stormed and sacked, and my people would suffer the same fate as the reigns of Castamere. I am fat, and many think that makes me weak and foolish. Mayhaps Tywin Lannister was one such. I sent him back a raven to say that I would bend my knee and open my gates after my son was returned, but not before. There, the matter stood when Tywin died. After the phrase turned up with Wendell's bones to make peace and seal it with a marriage pact, they claimed, but I was not about to give them what they wanted until I had Willis. We're going to have to discuss that one. Safe and whole, they were not about to give me Willis until I proved my loyalty. Your arrival gave me the means to do that. That was the reason for the discourtesy I showed you in the merman's court, and for the head and the hands rotting above the seal gate. You took a great risk, my lord, Davos said. If the phrase had seen through your deception, I took no risk at all. If any of the phrase had taken it upon themselves to climb my gate for a close look at the man with the onion in his mouth, I would have blamed my gallers, I always screw that word up, for the error and produced you to appease them. Davos felt a shiver up his spine. I see. I hope so. You have sons of your own, you said. 3, thought Davos, though I fathered 7. Soon I must return to feast to toast my friend of Freys. Manderley continued. They watch me, sir. Day and night, their eyes are on me. Noses sniffing for some whiff of treachery. You saw them, the arrogant Sir Gerard and his nephew Rhaegar, that smirking worm who wears a dragon's name. Behind them both stands Simon, clinging coins. That one has bought and paid for several of my servants and 2 of my knights. One of his wives' handmaids has found herself into the bed of my own fool. If Stannis wonders what that my letters say so little, it is because I dare not even trust my maester. Themor is all head and no heart. You heard him in my hall. Maesters are supposed to put aside old loyalties when they don their chains, but I cannot forget that Themor was born a Lannister of Lannisport and claimed some distant kinship to the Lannisters of Casterly Rock. Foes and false friends are all around me. Lord Davos, they infest my city like roaches, and at night I feel them crawling all over me. The fat man's finger coiled into a fist, and all his chins trembled. My son Wendell came to the twins as a guest. He ate Lord Walder's bread and salt and hung his sword upon the wall to feast with friends. And they murdered him. Murdered, I say. And may the phrase choke upon their fables. I drank with Jared, jape with Simon, promised Rhaegar the hand of my beloved daughter, but never think that means I have forgotten. The North remembers, Lord Davos. The North remembers, and the murmurous farce is almost done. My son is home. Welcome to Sporkin' News Podcast. Woo! I started way earlier than I thought there, guys. But my mic is crackling, so I must have it up too loud. Thank you for that info. I wish I caught that a little earlier. Let me know how that sounds. So you guys can unmute. I want to introduce my guest tonight that we are going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Winds of Winter predictions, but we're also going to be talking about where we're at right now, pre-Winds of Winter, some of the sample chapters, but we're going to focus mostly on the Battle of Ice. I did a video on Stannis, and it was kind of more of where he is right now than my predictions, but you can check that out after this. So Right to my, well, ladies first. Sorry, Christy. Please introduce yourself and your channel.
Hello, I'm Christy. My channel's called According to Christy. I just talk about whatever. And that's a great intro.
Yeah, it was long. Whew. Thank you, Christy.
Welcome.
I should have started. I should have started a little farther up, Christy. You're absolutely. I didn't know where. I kind of jumped in on it, and then I started feeling it. But I can't stand the names. They get to me. Thank you for coming, though, Christy. And we have the great Stig Kenobi, one of the men that I think knows these books better than most and has some great theories. Stig, how are you, sir?
I'm quite well. I'm not sure if I know the books that well. It's been a long time since I read them, but I really like them, so I paid attention while reading.
Yes. Now, can I ask how many has anybody done multiple readings?
I've done 2 or 3. 2.
Wow.
No, wait a minute. Yeah, 2 of all of them, but the first 3 I've read 3 times.
The first 3.
Yeah, I was rereading them when I was waiting for book 5.
Okay. Okay, and that was book 5, Clash of Kings. Is that book 5, or is that
Dance with Dragons?
Oh my God, I lost my count there. Book 5, 2011, Dance with Dragons. Wow, you're absolutely right, sir. So you've read them multiple times, Christy. You
The same. I would definitely say I didn't even get into the. Speaking with the show, I didn't get to the show until the second season, but I read the books again. So, but again, that's been about 6 or 7 years.
Understandable.
Oh, my bad. I've also listened to the audiobooks.
That's where I was going to say. I read through the books. I read through the books once. And then I read Game of Thrones twice. I almost finished Dance with Dragons twice because I thought in like 2014 we were going to get a book. So I wanted to reread the last one, and then I have listened to the books, and then I've read all the other chapters he has in editing things like the Dance of Dragons stuff, the Rogue Prince stuff, the Duncan and Egg, the history, all that type of stuff. And I'm guessing you guys have followed that too, or
to a certain extent, yes.
Mm-hmm. I have a hardcover of all the Duncan Egg stories. It was released a few years ago. I read that one.
Nice.
And I bought the what was it, Targaryen history book thing? Came out of last year.
Fire and Blood.
Fire and Blood. Yeah.
That one I haven't read because it felt like lecture.
Well, like is it lecture, or is it more like a very dry, like college book that costs too much for that class?
You know, it feels like the Silmarillion.
Yes, very good way of putting it. Well, didn't you? I don't know if you've heard it. I know George wanted to do the Grillamillion. It's like Grillamillion. He wanted to play on that, and this is going to be part of that. So this is the Targaryen history. I know he wants to predate and do from, pre the Long Night up until probably, I would say, Duncan Egg type era with that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to find out how the Children of the Forest smashed the arm of Dorne.
What type of magic they used, or?
Yeah, because that has to be something really potent.
Yes, they had to have a lot of sacrifices, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just quickly say hello to the chat. I'm sorry. Han Hound of the Valinor, if I'm saying that right. Thank you for resubbing. Just so everybody knows, YouTube likes to unsub you, even if you're watching that channel repeatedly. So please make sure you're still subbed to your favorite YouTube channels. We also have Michael Wolf. Thank you, my friend, always here. The Gilk Man made an appearance. He loves the books. I didn't know that, Gilk Man. You want to jump on, buddy? Let me know. Shoot me. Put it in the comments. I'll throw you a link. We have Snatchface the Fool. What a great name.
Epic name. That's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a perfect one, right?
I like that name.
Daisy Blossom Barrett, thank you for showing up. I really appreciate seeing some names I haven't seen in my live streams before. That's awesome. Happy Dinosaur 8000. I don't know why I wasn't set up with you on Twitter, but I appreciate that we're buddies now. And I think we're up to date on who is here. I don't know if I missed anybody. But well, at least the people in the chat. So I'd like to start off with that, what I just read. Okay. So to me, that's one of the yeah. Blanco. Yeah.
Blanco.
Blanco. I'd like to start off.
Always start off with that and never tell anyone why. That would be that would be epic.
Yes.
Every stream you just say Blanco.
Blanco.
And then you don't mention anything else about it.
That's it. Every once in a while, just one of us just says it. Says it. And you could interrupt me because you guys know I'm horrible. This is better with 3 people. I'm more likely to shut my mouth. So I really, because mostly I want to hear what you guys think. We have been friends on Twitter and YouTube now for about a half a year. And you guys are next. Also, Gary from Nerdrotic are 3 people that I talk to about this. Not a lot of people in our, the fandom menace or even the Star Wars and Star Trek fandom is diehard A Song of Ice and Fire fans, I've noticed. So it's nice to have.
I've always been a huge fantasy lover, I guess.
Right.
I have like 600 books in my apartment. Oh, yeah.
Now, are you a Wheel of Time fan?
Yes. Big time. Read the whole series 3 times. And I have the graphic novels too.
Did it get better after the first book? Because I got through most of the first book, and maybe it's because I wasn't in the right mindset yet. I wasn't feeling
it. After you said friends on Twitter, my internet went out, so I have no idea what the hell y'all just said.
No worries.
We said Blanco.
It does get better though. The Wheel of Time. I like the premise of it, Stig.
Yeah, it broadens big time. The middle books, especially book 5, 6, 7, and 8, I think, are kind of dull. But near the end, you realize, holy shit, those books were important.
And how late was he in his? Like, when did he pass away? I know there's 14 books in that saga.
Yeah, he passed away when there were 3 books left.
Oh, so it is mostly him.
Yeah, and a bunch of the chapters in the last book are written by him, including the ending.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and Brandon Sanderson, who finished the books for him, was already a huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
And he was given every bit of notes Robert Jordan had to help him finish the book. And it certainly helped that Jordan's wife was also his editor.
Yeah.
So the ending, I think, to a series that big will never be perfect for everyone.
Okay.
That's not going to happen. Probably it's not going to happen with Game of Thrones either. But
well, that's a question, Stig. Do you think he'll end? Will he finish the next? I don't think I even think he needs one more book, but the next 2 books.
I don't know. Could be he solves a lot of problems and finishes up loose threads in book 6.
That's a lot of loose threads, though, huh?
Yeah, but he did say book 6 was going to be a huge beast of a book, probably 1,500 pages.
Right. He said he's maxing out the last 2 books.
Yeah. So George Martin has never disappointed me so far. So I don't see why he would in book 6, but I understand why it's taking long, because this is complicated work.
Yes.
It's
Think about it.
Easy. It's very easy to write a chapter and then realize, oh crap, there's a couple of things in here that I didn't think about. So he has to do it over again.
Well, go back to even the very first very first part of Game of Thrones, the book, and where you have the Night Watch brothers going out to check on these wildlings. You have the two, seasoned guys, and you have the young Willis. Is it a Willis?
And Waymar, it's
Waymar
Royce.
Waymar Royce, exactly. Thank you, Christy. God, I love
Welcome.
you guys. But if you read that chapter closely, you notice he is setting up just a description of that young man to mirror what I think the others are looking, or not. Well, the others, if you want to call them that, or the White Walkers, are looking for, because they freeze, they stop until they know his sword isn't the sword they're fearing. And they look at him with the gray eyes like Jon, and the features. His features are almost like Jon's. They thought he was a Stark, I think. So you have that. Like, he sets stuff up so far in advance. I can't imagine being 6 books in and thinking, what did I write, and Catelyn 2 in Game of Thrones that's going to refer to this one when we're talking about, Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah, he is. I don't think I've ever seen a writer that's that good at doing hints and foreshadowing. He seems to do just the right amount every time to make the reader think.
Right.
And it's also just enough for you to not quite get it yet.
Right.
Because it could be 2 or 3 things.
Well, that's why we have all these theories, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that keeps the fans engaged between books.
Thank you. Just exactly what I was going to say, Stig. I'm sorry, but I was going to ask you about this, both you. That's not to say that I'm sorry, I missed what he put. Here we go. Game of Thrones can never beat Middle Earth. It's trying hard to be like Middle Earth. I don't like it because of that even trying to make their own Silmarillion. Now, I understand that. I know he said it half jokingly, but he has such a rich history. He is going to create something if he lives that long. I hate to think that way, but I don't think he's trying to be like Middle Earth. I understand why people think that, but he's always said in interviews, like, he loved, like, Middle Earth is, J.R.R. Tolkien is his inspiration, but not his only, but one of his biggest inspirations. But he always wondered what Aragorn's tax, codes were, and how they did public services and this and that. So I feel like they're two different things. What do you guys think?
I'll let Christy go first.
I was going to say the same, but George, he also gets his inspiration from history itself. I mean, you think of the War of the Roses with the Lancasters, and who is the other one? The Tudors. No, not the Tudors. The Yorks.
Yorks. Sorry,
so,
I was muted.
So he gets his inspiration from history too. Now, I would be lying my ass off if I didn't say that he didn't get inspiration from, I was going to say Game of Thrones, but for Lord of the Rings from Tolkien. But I see it I can see the differences is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think there might be a little element of Return of the King later on. Long lost king taking a throne.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I see a lot of Tolkien fans, and I'm certainly a Tolkien fan myself, that maybe feel a bit threatened by Martin because it's the next huge thing, right?
Oh, that's a very, very good way of putting it.
Yeah, and Tolkien has always been the main thing, and it probably still will be. But for those of us who like fantasy and all that, there's room for both.
Right. Absolutely.
It's okay to like both, and in my opinion, both are fantastic. So keep it coming,
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we held it off. I think we got some people in here that are ready to hear some of our views. So let's start off with the North Remembers. There is a theory that the Northern Lords are silently building alliances against the Boltons and Lannisters. Now we have some clues. So Manderley pretty much puts it out there. I mean, we know from A Dance with Dragons, sorry, my little one's screaming upstairs, from A Dance with Dragons that Manderley can't stand the phrase. He's angry what happened to his own family. We all know that Bolton was, in charge of the foot soldiers for Robb, and he was sending in different houses in different battles to decimate them so that his house would still be on top after Robb won or lost. So I know people are holding that against him. Now we have the Umbers are split in two. The Umbers and the Glovers were building ships for Robb's navy. We don't know where those ships are or those guys are. We have one of the Umbers with Stannis. We have Crowfoot Umber inside Winterfell working against the Boltons within. I don't know if it actually says that, but we're led to believe that. So who do you think is part of that conspiracy? I was wondering if you think Lady Dustin might be involved in that, because she is on the right hand of Roose, but if you ever listen to her speak, she's the only one that doesn't call him my lord. She only calls him by his first name. She always points out to his face, what is wrong. And she might hold some grudges against Ned for what he didn't do for her family when her husband died at the Tower of Joy. But I have to believe she rather see a Stark in Winterfell than a Bolton. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to forget that Roose's legitimate son, Dominic, I can't remember, but kind of like died under mysterious circumstances. And it's always been alleged or hinted at that Ramsay might have had something to do with it. And she also had a thing for Brandon Stark. And I don't see that much of a ploy with the Brandon aspect of it. I think she might be maybe reluctant in a way to maybe support a Stark at this point. I'm not sure, but maybe this is where we kind of maybe find out what might have happened to Dominic too, because that's right. One of the things I really wanted to know too.
She could also be undecided.
That's true.
That's something to remember, because a lot of characters, like the readers, could still be undecided on who they're going to root for, because there's good and bad in all of them, right?
Right, absolutely. I'm sorry. So one thing, if you'll hear my little ones in the background, quarantine life. So one thing I think about her is thinking she might be in the middle is a very good aspect, because I kind of think she's waiting to see who wins. Now, she sent the least amount of people to help out Robb because of her hatred for the Starks. So she actually might be a part of it. We know the Manderleys are. Now with the Umbers, Crowfoot is definitely working against Roose, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a safe bet.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, do you think he has any correlation? He has like a dragon glass eye, which I always found very interesting. Do you guys ever look into those type of like abstract things that George does to connect different characters? Like you have the crow's eye and Crowfoot, both of them have a black eye. Like I just always wonder if anybody else sees those connections.
I didn't pick up on that.
I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah,
that's something to think about. In all honesty, Scott, I'll have to go back and think about it.
Well,
you know what we should do though? At some point, just do a reread and have a book club meeting about the book we just read.
Oh my God, yes. Let's do that.
I could so see you two just being, what did they say this time? Steve, what did you say about this? What? Let's see,
Sorry,
I'll do it
give me
then.
1 second. You guys keep
That's
talking.
okay.
Yeah.
So would you go ahead? So
Blanco.
Blanco, thank you.
Blanco.
So we have Snatchface the Fool saying, I think Lady Dustin is reluctantly in the plot, but she still hates the Bottoms. Oh,
Bolton's.
I don't have my glasses on. Bolton's more than the Starks.
Yeah,
Well,
those asses.
Yeah, those Bottoms. And I think Christy said it perfectly. I think she holds the killing of Bolton's son by Ramsay, who she was fostering, and is also, I think, her nephew.
That is her nephew.
Right. So I think that's let's just say a cut that's a little closer than when Ned didn't bring back the bones. Because I think it's, that's gone so long. And she also was in love with Brandon Stark.
So she has a bone to pick.
Yeah. I like it. So we also have, he's the one setting the traps in the blizzards around Winterfell. Crow's food is the shit. And I believe that too. Crow's food is definitely him and his green boys, while they are battling upstairs. Crow's food and his green boys are setting those traps, and the blizzard's so bad, no one can see what's going on. Now, do you think Roose has any idea this is him? Because Roose, I feel like everyone that talks about the Battle of Ice talks about how Stannis is this tactician. Roose isn't too shabby himself.
Well, Roose was in charge of the foot soldiers.
Yes.
So that seems to be his specialty, right?
Well, do you think, well, let me ask you this directly then, Stig. Roose sends out the Freys and the Manderleys with his bastard behind them. The Freys went first, the Manderleys went second. He sent them out because I think, one, they didn't have enough food in the castle. Two, those two groups were fighting. Was that a mistake?
Yeah, because you're splitting up your army.
And you're also leaving a fortified encampment.
Yes, and given that there's a blizzard, right? The snow is getting deeper and deeper. The cavalry won't be very effective.
Right. Right. And I didn't, you know what, Stig, today was the first day when I was doing some rereads of this that it was a cavalry. I thought they were on foot, and I reread it and they said they rode out, and I did not catch that till today. So why would you send horses? First of all, if they get beat by Stannis, now you're giving him food.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they want the cavalry to raid Stannis' camp, right? Because it's a blizzard. They can't send the cavalry away to wait somewhere. They're gonna freeze to death.
Right. Now, do they realize Stannis's camp is on those lakes, though? You would think, I know it's a blizzard, but you're northern lords mostly, not the Freys, not the well, the Manderleys are, but not the Freys. But wouldn't the northern lords know where he's set up is an area of lakes? Why would you then send horses that could easily, I don't know,
fall through the ice?
Yeah.
There's an old medieval battle that ended like that. Actually, can't remember what it was, but Morton actually mentioned it once. A huge army got tricked out onto the ice, and the ice couldn't hold the weight, and they sank and drowned.
I'm thinking they're expecting it because it is winter now, that the ice would be thick enough, and no matter what, they can go over that ice, not realizing these guys have so many fishing holes, and they've, the thousands of people that they literally say they fished it dry. So imagine how many holes are there waiting for these horses just to trample it down. I find that very interesting. I think Stannis is easily going to win this part of the battle. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I agree. And
I agree.
There's something about Winterfell as well, which is a little theory I have, if you want to hear it.
Yes.
Gargoyles?
Yes.
Gargoyles are on on the walls of some castles, and they're there to basically protect the castle. That's what they believed. The gargoyles protect the walls.
Right.
All through the story, people call Tyrion like a gargoyle,
Right.
right? Whenever he's defending a castle, he's on the winning side.
That is true.
Yes. And in book 5, in one chapter, Martin makes a point out of describing the gargoyles on the walls of Winterfell, and they're starting to crumble.
Mm.
So that's a little hint, I think,
That the defenses are crumbling.
that Winterfell is about to fall
Yeah.
because the
That is
gargoyles are crumbling.
because we do know that Winterfell got sacked by Ramsay. Everyone
Yeah,
thinks it was Theon, but
and they haven't maintained it much.
right.
And there's also a description of the walls. One of the walls has snow almost all the way up, which means that wall is pretty much useless because people could just walk up through the snow
Right.
over the wall.
And they do talk, you know what? That's a valid point. And another thing I just picked up, and I'm putting it together right now. They make a point to talk about the mountain clans using some type of like bear paws, they call them, but they're really snowshoes. And they make it so their horses and them can stand on top of the snow without breaking it. If though the snow is like that going up, you can send the mountain clans right over the wall.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my
And
God.
there's
Blew my mind.
foreshadowing that the gargoyles are crumbling. He makes a point
Yes.
out of it, which means Winterfell will fall soon, or maybe Stannis fails and just does enough damage for others to finish them off next time. I don't know, but it will fall.
Right. Right. It's definitely going to fall. So, what did we say here? I'd love to be able to give my opinion, but I don't know enough about Game of Thrones, only the TV series, which I stopped watching after season 4. Can I just say that was very smart? As
Yeah,
I
that's
know
exactly where you
That's
should.
a guess.
happened.
Yeah, because after season 4, it turns into fan fiction.
Yes. Yes. And I think yeah, my brain did just explode, Christy. It literally did. I didn't put that together until Stig just said that. He is going to send the mountain clans over the wall just by running up the side of the snow, because they're not maintaining the walls right now. There's just too much snow going on. And I don't think Roose realizes. He's probably thinking, oh, if they try to go up it, they're going to sink through. Well, now we have the mountain clan that can easily go up it with their snowshoes. Boom. I just blew that one out the doors. Yeah. Mark that one for Sporking News Podcast, Reddit. So Han, is it Han or Han the Hound? Han Hound of the Valinor. I think Stig said this right. I'd like to do maybe a book club of Game of Thrones. We can set it for like a couple weeks to a month away. Start reading.
Probably a month, because
I
some
would
of them
say
are
a
really
month.
thick.
We'll do one a month. And we'll start with Game of Thrones maybe at the beginning of May. So start reading it now. By the time we're done, we'll still be waiting on book 7 or 6, 7, 8. So don't worry about it. But but please do. All right. So we believe that Stannis will, now I believe Stannis will easily win with your gargoyle theory and my mind-blowing Hills clans going over the wall. And also with the Umbers from the inside killing people, I think the Boltons are going to get wiped out. I do think Roose will set up Ramsay. I think when the Freys get there and they start getting killed at Stannis's camp, and then the Manderleys come up behind and just wipe them clean because the Manderleys blame them for everything. When Ramsay gets there, because Ramsay is behind them, he's going to be fighting 2 forces now. And I think when Ramsay goes back to try to get into Winterfell, Roose isn't going to open the gates, because Roose blames him for a lot, and everybody blames Ramsay for everything. You know, the Lady of Hornhill, you know, he kidnapped her on the road back from Winterfell books ago, forced her to marry him, put her into a tower where she then either ate her fingers off, or he flayed her fingers off, and she died. So
finger snacks.
finger snacks, finger sandwiches. So now that Stannis is in Winterfell, where does he go from there?
He consolidates his army, moves south towards King's Landing. I think I have a theory that he will be in King's Landing when Daenerys attacks, and I think that's where he'll end.
Oh,
Because it's said that he will break before he bends, right? He's
right.
not going
He
to
always
bend the
says,
knee. Yeah, he's not going to bend the knee to Daenerys, so he's going to break.
well, let me ask you this. Will he not bend the knee? I've been wondering about that. I understand he's a rigid man, everybody says, but I've noticed he does bend a bit when it comes to
Yeah,
his tactical moves.
yeah, he bends to common sense.
Yes. Now
But
you
the thing is, the throne is his, and
right.
it's
It's
basically his duty, and he never shirks his duty.
but now if you have the rightful Targaryen heir, do you think he
Yeah,
goes
but he was involved with disposing them.
yes? And that was a hard decision for him.
Yeah,
That was, I mean, if you look back in the story, it took him a little bit. I mean, he stuck with family, but it was a decision between his king and his brother, and that was a tough one for him. For people like Han or Juan that haven't read the books, Stannis
Who,
has a long history. Go ahead, Christy.
he said, "Who on?"
Huan. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Oh,
It's from
I see it. Huan.
it's from Tolkien, I believe.
Okay. Oh, TT, what up, brother? So you have Stannis. We go back right before, let's go back to their childhood. Stannis was never a fun child. We get his father, when his father was forced to go to Essos to find a bride for Rhaegar of the right stock. He writes a letter back to the maester saying, I found this great fool who is Snatchface, just kidding, Patchface. And he says, I hope he could teach Stannis how to laugh. So we know Stannis has been this way his whole life, but then he watches his parents die in the wreckage, in their own port, out in their own harbor. So Stannis has always been a very rigid guy, but I think we stick to that rigid thing too much. Now, he did choose his brother over the rightful heir, but I don't know. With a dragon and being a rightful Targaryen, I thought he'd actually go and try to go down and fight Fagon. So you don't think he'll go south to fight Aegon, who I think is going to already be in the capital?
I think Stannis is the one who's gonna deal with the phrase
Okay.
first. Yeah, because they're the next for the south. He has to move past them to go
That's
south.
true. That's true. He has to go over the twins. That's true.
It would be awesome if Stannis just plows through all those assholes
Yep.
that have done people wrong, just destroys them, which is what he said he would do. He was going to
Right.
destroy them. But I don't think he'll last to the end of the story. I think if he wins the battle at Winterfell,
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll still be dead before the end of the book.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it through the book. I agree with you on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you too, Christy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I hate to bring up the show, but they just did the Stannis Baratheon character such a disservice
Thank you.
on
We
the
can complain all
show.
you want, Christy. Complain all you want.
And I mean, I agree. When I saw the battle, they call it the battle of Winterfell, but in season 6, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" And you have such a rich history of the books. He's gonna die. He is definitely gonna die. You know what I should say? I think he's gonna die at the end, sometime in the Winds of Winter. But I seriously think he's gonna win at Winterfell. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and the showrunners lied when they were defending the burning of his daughter, because they said, Stannis was always going to do that. Because when we first meet him in the show, he's burning prisoners. He's not doing that. He's burning the idols of the seven, the wooden idols.
Right. And one was his cousin, right? Or his wife's cousin.
No,
Mhm.
that's way
That's it.
later. That's because
Right.
they betrayed him at Blackwater.
Well, that too, but they left out in the show that he did that with one of them because the kid, he was protecting one of Robert's bastards, Edric Storm.
I don't remember that, but they did also lie and say that when George told us what would happen to Shireen,
Mm-hmm.
they said they didn't know how the audience would react or something. But Stannis isn't going to burn his daughter. That's a lie. I'm sure Shireen might get burned, and I'm thinking Melisandre does it, sacrificing her to raise Jon Snow.
I agree. I mean,
She has king's blood, and in the books you need king's blood to do stuff like that.
But then you have the whole aspect of him calling Ghost as his final word, and he's more of a warg in the books than in the show.
Oh yeah, what comes back might not be Jon Snow.
I think it's going to be a mixture.
Yeah, and it ties into the Norse mythology thing a bit, which is something we can discuss on a later date.
Yeah, I really want to talk about that after. We could even, if we're going for a little longer, let's do the pink letter and then talk about that because I find that very interesting. One thing about Jon, for people that were show watchers, the books, all the Stark children have warging capability. Okay. They tried to do it in the show that Bran's the only one. Well, Bran's the green seer of the family, which is very rare. Out of 1,000 wargs, one will be a green seer. You know, so,
and even if you have the ability to be a warg, it doesn't mean it will come to fruition, because you will basically hold yourself back because you'll say this is just a dream or blah blah blah.
Right.
So you won't try to make it work.
Right.
Especially if you don't even know what it is.
Like Jon is doing right now. I mean, what happens at the end of the book, Jon has the dreams of being in Ghost and doesn't realize that he's actually in Ghost. You know,
yeah.
So when he does say Ghost at the end, I believe that too. Now, George has stated that that people raised by Laror. Oh my god, I can't say the freaking fire god right now. R'hllor. Thank you. R'hllor are fire whites. So in a way, they're not even themselves anymore. I mean, is Catelyn really in Lady Stoneheart, or is she just working on that last thought that Catelyn had? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What do you think about Lady Stoneheart having something to do with Jon coming back? Or is that too far out there?
Yeah, she's too far away.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
And you need a red priest, and the only red priest is Melisandre, who actually points out that she feels more powerful near the wall.
Right, it's one of the axis of the earth.
Yeah,
but do you need a red priest? Because when
you need the Lord of Light to do it.
No, but you need to have that ability, because when what's his name that gave her the kiss of life?
Beric.
It was Thorin, right? Thorin is the red priest down there.
Thoros?
Oh my god, I'm losing it.
Something just hit me when you said fire whites.
Yes.
Jon is going to come back as a fire white, seemingly.
Yes.
Well, foreshadowing, when he shags Ygritte, right?
Yeah, he does.
And he points out her red hair afterwards.
Yeah, he does.
She says, "I've been kissed by fire." Well, Jon Snow had just kissed her earlier. So that's a little hint, maybe.
That's a little hint right there. See, what I think is the pact was a pact between fire and ice. Okay. And I believe his death and resurrection, he will be partly the warg mentality. So he's going to come back more wolf than he was before. depending on how long he stays in Ghost. That is the white part of it. That is the ice part of it. And then the resurrection from R'hllor is the fire part of it. So he will be a fire white, but I think he's going to be that pact of fire and ice. I think it's too different bringing him back.
And if we go by the Norse mythology theory, which I fully believe in,
please
Jon
that out.
Jon Snow is based on Surtur the Black, who is a fire giant.
Okay, explain a little bit of that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's the Ragnarok mythology. Ragnarok happens after a period of war, strife, and disease, where family members kill each other and blah blah blah. Stuff is really bad in the land, and then a long winter kicks in, and Asgard, which I believe is King's Landing in this case, is attacked by frost and fire giants, led by Loki, who has been held in captivity in a cave for a lengthy amount of time. So, Song of Ice and Fire, right?
Right.
A song is harmony. It's not ice against fire. It's fire and ice together. And they cross the Bifrost Bridge and attack the gods and Asgard and all that. The Bifrost Bridge, in this case, is the wall. So they cross the wall, attack.
It so lines up.
It lines up perfectly, and Odin and Thor died before Ragnarok. In some of the myths, Odin is described as a mad king.
Okay.
That fits. Mad King dies before. And King Robert is Thor. He uses a warhammer, he parties, he drinks, born at storms, and Thor was a storm god.
He carries a hammer?
Yeah.
I always saw that. I didn't see as much as you put into it. I knew he took pieces from everything.
Yeah, so some of it is even just symbolism, but if there was just a couple of things, I would have waved it away, right? But this is pretty much every damn character is based on a god, and he keeps saying all through the books that the gods are cruel, right? Characters will say that.
Yes.
And every character that has done cruelty in the books are based on one of the gods. Because King Robert certainly wasn't a saint, and the Mad King wasn't either.
Right.
And then you have, the god of virility, who's named Frey.
Right.
Walder Frey.
Has
He's
so many children.
Over 100 years old, and he keeps making babies.
Oh my God, yeah. That's crazy. It's so much, yes, he touches on your, Eastern European type of, ideas like Christy was saying before, but it's a lot of the Norse Ragnarok. It has to be.
Yeah, and you have the god Heimdall, who is in the Thor movies. He's very different in the Thor movies, but he's called the Watcher. And he's also the wisest of the gods, and he has a horn. He's going to blow a horn when Ragnarok starts. The only character that is a Watcher and has a horn is Sam Tarly.
I was just about to say that. Sam Tarly.
Yeah, he keeps saying, I'm the Watcher on the wall, and blah, blah, blah. And Heimdall also guards the Bifrost Bridge. Sam's duty is basically to guard the wall. And he found the horn beyond the wall, which they...
Do you think that is the horn?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, me too.
And incidentally, he's born at Horn Hill.
Right.
And he's also wise.
Sam Wise. Holy shit, man. He is born at Horn Hill.
Yeah, he is.
That's why I'm shutting the fuck up. I love listening to this.
This is amazing.
And then you have, Stannis is all about duty and justice, right? And there's a god in the mythology called Forseti, who's basically the judge of the Norse mythology. And he lives on Odin's island. Dragonstone is a Targaryen island. Mad King Odin, right?
Yeah.
and he's supposed to set everything right. All the wrongs of the land is going to be set right by Forseti. And he's also a sea god, I think. He's linked to the sea, which Stannis was the master of sails, I believe, and he smashed the Greyjoys in a naval battle earlier.
Right. Oh yeah, he did. He is the only character we know of that has beaten them in open like sea warfare. He's the only one that has ever beaten the Greyjoys. A fleet.
Yeah, he wiped them out at sea.
That's why I think we're overlooking Stannis's part in this story. I think he has more than what a lot of us believe is going to happen. I think Stannis I'm pushing for Stannis the king. I really want Stannis to hold the crown for at least a little bit in this, like full Westerosian crown, like the king of the seven kingdoms. Because I don't believe the North is going to be succeeding at all. I really don't. I think the wall will come down in some way, but
the thing is, Forseti is never mentioned in the Ragnarok myth itself. So I do believe he's going to die before the shit really hits the fan.
That sucks. Real quick, my good friend, Lorena Creel, my partner in crime on our show TR4, and also Chrissy's partner in crime in the Queen's Council, is in the chat. Thank you for showing up, Lorena. And our other good friend, Supreme Heretic. I put his new website down. This is sick. What is it again? Sickest of All. And it's his own news website. He keeps up on the fantasy or fandom stuff, but also dives into more like some political thing. He has something about COVID-19 in it right now. Oh shit, I just said it. Well, luckily I'm not, don't have money on this, so they can't, demonetize me. But he also does stuff in our fandom. So please bookmark that, check it out, help that brother out. Drew is one of the nicest guys in the fandom, so please help him out. And that is all I have to say on that. Now, all right. So in Ragnarok, he's not talked about. So could he be a mixture of more than one Norse god? Or does everybody line up as one? That's that figure that person is.
Odin and Thor are supposed to return during Ragnarok. And of course, Robert and the Mad King won't return in the flesh because they're dead.
So you think the Mad King was Odin?
Yeah.
See, if now when you said it, my first thought of Odin, maybe not with the power, but with the wisdom and his ravens, I was thinking Aemon, Maester Aemon. He dies.
Dead. Well,
doesn't Odin die before the Ragnarok really gets going?
Yeah. But the thing is, Odin is called a Mad King in some of the myths. So that's a sign there. But when Euron is introduced, he's missing an eye, right?
Yes.
Odin was missing an eye.
Right.
And they keep saying Euron is the maddest of them all.
Yes.
So I think that's the return of the Odin representation.
Okay. See, I thought, even though with the missing eye, I thought he was our Loki.
No. Loki is the old guy in the cave.
Yeah. Okay.
But Thor is returning as Gendry, I believe, because there's a story of Thor capturing, the world serpent by using a bull's head as bait, and Gendry has a helmet shaped as a bull's head.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah,
we're gonna do a whole stream on this, man.
I think he throws it into the serpent's mouth and it chokes on it or something.
Oh. Okay, I know. All right. Because it's the serpent eating its own tail is a sign of Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, it's going to curl around the around the world
Mhm.
and bite its own tail, and that's Daenerys. She's unwittingly a villain because the serpent is a child of Loki,
Right.
god of fire and trickery, and that serpent is thrown into the ocean when it's a child by
Mhm.
Odin, and the Mad King sends Daenerys into the ocean to have her escape, right, during the rebellion. So
Right.
he's basically throwing her into the ocean, and dragons are symbols of serpents.
Right.
And her dragons and army grows the further east she gets, and she's always told, "Go east to get to the west." So
Right.
when that
Right.
happens, she's gonna, bite her own tail, right? She would
Right.
have coiled around the world.
Right. She'll go from everywhere. I mean, she started off with her dragons in the grasslands and then went
Yeah,
all the way what is that
which
city?
which a it's a sea serpent, right?
Right.
But she is crossing the Dothraki Sea.
Exactly.
It's always
Exactly.
described as a sea. So
Oh my god. I'm just going to give a little see what's up with the chat. So we have Stannis is gonna die in the north. That's how Jon Snow will meet up with Davos and Melisandre. Huan says the Mad King, they say he was mad, but was he? His actions suggest more paranoia than mad. Do you believe that there is a theory that Bloodraven in the cave, which we'll talk about more in depth in another live stream, was whispering in the ear of the Mad King, which drove him mad?
yeah, I
I
think so.
Yeah, Christy, what do you think?
I want to say yes, but I don't know. That's one of those theories. It's like it's almost too good to be true.
Right, and we also have to remember the Targaryen history.
Because
They,
he put, yeah,
some are mad, some are not.
yeah.
So is he mad or is he just, I don't know.
Well, he burned Starks, and
Yes.
he also kept saying burn them all and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like he's trying to get rid of the Starks.
Right, because you agree with me that Bloodraven is not on the right side.
No,
Oh,
no.
oh no, he's not. Absolutely
Right.
not.
And Bran is unwittingly going to become the tool of the others. I don't know if you guys agree with. I agree. I think that's what's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. Because during Ragnarok, Loki has three children,
Mhm.
basically lieutenants. One of them is the Fenris Wolf. The Fenris Wolf, I believe, is Bran, because in the myth, a god named Tyr chains the Fenris Wolf by its hind legs,
Right. Oh shit.
and he later loses a hand as a result, or rather as a consequence. Jamie chains Bran by paralyzing him, and he
Yes.
later loses his hand.
Holy shit.
And Bran is now with Bloodraven being trained by basically Loki, right?
Yeah.
In a cave where Loki is supposed to be during Ragnarok.
I'm doing videos on this too. Holy crap. I don't know if you guys heard before. Recently I decided I'm going to be doing a lot more A Song of Ice and Fire videos because I really enjoy them.
Finally.
I just
Yeah,
enjoy
uh,
it.
and George Morton has said several times that he's switching all the stereotypes around, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so he's making the villains the ones we root for because they're the most sympathetic, right?
Right. And I think
And
he'll do a better job than they did in the show, correct?
oh
With
yeah, and
Oh,
Daenerys.
absolutely.
he keeps saying, um, Hitler was the most evil man on the planet, but he was nice to dogs.
Right.
Stuff like that.
I
He's
mean, in Hitler's own mind, he was the hero.
yeah. George Morton has always said that everyone's the hero of their own story.
Right.
So the the characters you like in the story, the
Right.
main characters, are unwittingly the villains.
I mean, you could look, I love Daenerys' story. I love how she has gained strength and she's a strong woman and she took what was forced upon her by her brother and made it her own. But she has done some vicious things. But in that time that she's done all those vicious things, we're inside her head realizing that she's doing it for a purpose. And most of it is a tactical thing, by nailing up the slavers, well, eye for an eye type thing. And also to show them that she's not scared to take it to that level. But the whole time in her head, she's like, I do not want to be my father. I don't want to be my father. So I can see at some point her believing what she's doing is cleansing the earth and trying to, free everybody. But the way they did it in the show was just like she flipped a coin one afternoon and I'm going to be nuts. I mean, they took which is not
George Martin actually said Daenerys in part was based on Hitler.
No way.
Yes.
Kind of like
made me laugh because of all the people that named their kid Daenerys.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because when you first start reading the books, I'm the female on the panel. I was rooting for Daenerys. But as the stories progressed in the books, not the show, I was like, I don't know about this girl. But the show, I was so pissed off. I'm still pissed off about season 8.
Let it out.
You don't want to. I have a video saved for that because y'all know tomorrow marks 1 year since season 8 began.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh God, what a horrible season! How do you even call it a season? It was freaking a couple episodes of shit.
Exactly. So I do completely believe that she is going to go that route, but it's not going to be maybe to the show. I don't know.
It's going to be explained better.
It'll be explained better. Yes.
I have a theory though, because it looks like the Lord of Light is Bloodraven, right? It looks to be that way.
Why do you say that?
Because of Melisandre feeling more powerful when she's closer to him.
Closer to him or closer to the wall? See, I didn't think of it that way.
But north of the wall, you have Bloodraven.
Right.
So the closer she gets to him, the more powerful she gets. She's closer to the source of the power, really. Closer to her lord. And there's also that thing with...
Are all the lords the same, Stig? Like, is R'hllor really just the other?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
But Arya spies on some red priests.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees the face in the flames that they see.
Right.
And it has a birthmark, same as Bloodraven has.
When was that?
Book 5, I think.
I don't remember
5 or
that.
4. So, only death may pay for life and all that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Which is what happened to Catelyn. Beric died by raising her. Right. And there was a red priest with him.
But did he have to be with him? That was my question before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The dragons were born in fire.
Right.
Loki is a fire god.
Right.
And Lord of Light can also raise the dead. So the dragons were given life in the fire.
With also a sacrifice.
Yes.
What's her name?
And
Mary Mazdor.
Yes.
Yeah, and Daenerys seems to be very resistant to fire.
Yes, for the most part.
No other Targaryens have had that.
She did get burned in the last book, though.
Yeah, a little bit because of dragon fire, because that's way hotter. But we've told several times about full-blown Targaryens being burned to death.
Right, drinking.
But it's different for her, and it's the same thing with Melisandre. They can't burn to death because they're protected by the Lord of Light. Lord of Light needs her and the dragons alive. And when book 5 ends, you have several red priests heading straight for Daenerys.
Blanco. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We had to do it.
Yeah. So, and you have Bran being trained by Bloodraven. No red priest required.
Right.
And there's the red priest right next to Jon Snow, Melisandre.
But how do you all right, maybe I missed you explaining it just there, but how do you connect Bloodraven to R'hllor when I mean, to me
Oh, oh,
he is
it's because the scene with Arya, she was spying at the red priests and she saw the
and that's
face.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were saying R'hllor and blah blah blah.
I got to
And
reread that part.
yeah,
I don't
and
remember that part. Damn
yeah,
it.
Yeah, me either.
yeah, there's a face in the fire with the same wooden look,
Right.
and it has the same birthmark.
But remember when Melisandre looks into the fire to see the enemy and she sees a boy with a wolf's head and
Yeah, she's actually working for the enemy. She doesn't know.
And she also sees snow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's when she asked to see Azor Ahai. But when she asked to see the enemy, she sees Bloodraven and I forget how she sees Bloodraven. I don't know if it's a raven or a weirwood tree.
No, it's the face with the birthmark. She sees his actual face.
So she sees his face and then sees Bran as a wolf-headed boy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think Bran ate Jojen paste from Snatch Face?
Absolutely.
So that's the one thing I don't know.
It fits with Norse mythology perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's based on a god named Kvasir, who is he's wise as heck, and he's almost godlike, and he's basically traveling around the world, spreading his knowledge, acting as a teacher, which is what he's doing in the show and the books, right?
Right.
And he's later invited to a cave where dwarves, children of the forest,
Yes,
murders him and mixes his blood with honey, basically making the Jojen paste.
And doesn't Bran say something about, or was that Daenerys that says it tasted like honey after like that first nasty taste? Because both of them eating the two different things have the same reaction, which I think there's a connection between those two trees and their fruit.
Yeah, and it's called mead of poetry, which is a reference to great wisdom for those who drink it.
Right.
And the children of the forest basically are creating wisdom imbued pastes to feed Bran so he can awaken his powers, right?
Right.
But all signs point to him being in that bowl, and it fits perfectly with the
lore.
Yeah,
that's amazing, Stig.
It fits like a glove.
It really does. That's crazy. All right, so we're. Oh, go ahead, please.
And they also keep saying that Jojen Reed possesses wisdom far beyond his years.
Correct.
And I think they also called him little grandfather.
Yes.
But
he doesn't act like the other kids. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's full of wisdom. They make Bran eat that wisdom, really, to gain it.
That's crazy. And it's the blood sacrifice we needed.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to read the pink letter real quick. So, this is a letter that Jon Snow receives at Castle Black. And it goes like this: "Your false king is dead, bastard."
No.
Yeah, that's not how it starts, does it?
No, it's supposed to be bastard.
Bastard. Okay, I'll do better. Ready?
Yeah.
Let me try my accent because I'm horrible with accents. "Your false king is dead, bastard. He and all his hosts were smashed in 7 days of battle. I have his magic sword. Tell his red whore. Your false king's friends are dead. Their heads upon the walls of Winterfell. Come see them, bastard. Your false king lied, and so did you. You told the world you burned the king beyond the wall. Instead, you sent him to Winterfell to steal my bride from me. I will have my bride back. If you want Mance Rayder back, come and get him. I have him in a cage for all the north to see. Proof of your lies. The cage is cold, but I have made him a warm cloak from the skins of the 6 whores he came with him to Winterfell. I want my bride back. I want the false king's queen. I want his daughter and his red witch. I want this wildling princess. I want his little prince, the wildling babe. I want my reek. Send them to me, bastard, and I will not trouble you or your black crows. Keep them for me, and I will cut out your bastard heart and eat it. Ramsay Bolton, true Lord of Winterfell. Okay.
I spotted one revealing thing right there.
Please do.
If Ramsay won against Stannis, right?
Yes.
He would have had Reek, because Theon is the new Reek, and he's in Stannis' camp.
Oh shit! I never noticed that.
Ramsay didn't write this letter.
No, it's Mance Raider.
But no one has ever pointed that out.
Yeah.
Right. I just did.
Everyone here, Stig Kenobi on Sporking News Podcast just blew the doors off of the Ramsay Bolton writing that. It's impossible for Ramsay to be the one that wrote that because he would have had Reek back. You're absolutely right.
Unless Stannis has killed him before the battle. We don't know that, but I don't think he will.
Right, but if he does kill him, because this Theon chapter from Winds of Winter is taking place really towards the end of Dance with Dragons. This isn't ahead of it. So people need to realize that. George did state that in an interview. But even if he killed him, he would have sacrificed him, like they all said, unless he burned him. People were telling him to sacrifice him on the weirwood tree. So wouldn't someone tell him though that Reek was sacrificed? Like, who's Reek? Oh, Theon? Yeah, we killed that mofo. We burned the shit out of him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He would have found out.
Oh my God.
Because they would have interrogated prisoners, right?
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, you just blew the doors off that one. So we are just blowing minds right now to our 8 fans out there. Thank you for being with us. So if Ramsay did not write it, which now I definitely have I never thought he did, but there was always that hint of maybe he could have wrote this. I know the wax didn't really line up right. And what we were talking about before the show, Stig, how John made it clear on the letter that Ramsay sent him about marrying the fake Arya. He talked about Ramsay's handwriting. He's not the only one. There was another
also,
too.
The threats doesn't match up with Ramsay.
No, it doesn't. He would flay.
Yeah, he would flay someone and put him on a cross or whatever, right?
Yeah, on a pike of some sort, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't behead them.
No, he wouldn't. He would flay the shit out of them. He loves flaying people. And that too, I mean, I always thought maybe John would have said something about the handwriting if it was different from Ramsay. But right there with him saying that about Reek, if he first of all, 7 days of battle in a blizzard, that's a long freaking battle. I can't imagine it even going that long, but he would have found out, either he would have got Theon back or he would have found out that Theon was killed. So right there, that tells us it ain't Ramsay. So who is it? Is it Mance Raider, or is it, some people believe it's Stannis, and I'll tell you why I believe it could be Stannis. In that chapter, the Theon chapter, spoilers for Winds of Winter, if you haven't read the sample chapter, he does tell Mance, one of his knights that he's sending with the guy from the Iron Bank. He's sending him to the wall and then over to get his sellswords, which right there, I think, is a different discussion altogether. Because no way you're going to get 20,000 sellswords, even if the Golden Company was available. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he plans on there. But anyways, he tells him that if you hear I'm dead, do the job. So I always thought, oh, maybe he wrote the letter and he's telling him, you're going to hear that I died up at the wall because they're going to get this letter. Do the job that I told you to do.
Yeah, and it could also be, actually, that's a thought. He's sending it to Jon Snow because he's asking for reinforcements, but he's doing it basically in code in case the letter gets picked up.
Okay.
Because if someone picks it up and they think, oh, it's from Ramsay, no biggie, right?
Right.
But if he signs it, Stannis and blah, 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 I need troops and things like that.
Right.
Then there's a different matter. But I don't see Stannis doing that because he's actually honest.
Well, he is. But again, we said it before. He will bend his own rules if it's a tactical thing in battle. Now, could Stannis know of the letter through Mance because of crow food? I've always wondered that.
Well, there's one issue with that because Stannis has no clue Mance Raider is alive.
Right. He thinks he burned.
Yeah, and he has no idea about those 6 women he came with either.
That's true.
So
That is
that's
true.
not it's Mance himself.
Well,
Yeah.
also using well, go ahead, Christy, please.
I was just gonna say too, and it's when he wants the wildling princess. I want his little prince, the wildling babe. I mean, right there. Does Stannis? I can't remember. Was Stannis even present when the baby was around
Yes.
before it was before that they were switched?
Yeah, well, he was there when they were switched, I believe, because that's why John switched him. He was worried about Melisandre and Stannis sacrificing the baby.
Okay.
I thought. I could be wrong.
And Mance Raider is the only one who's described Melisandre as a red witch.
Right. Right. And Mance is also, if you take the letter and break it down, Black Crow is something a wildling would say, right?
Oh yeah, they've said it all several
We
times.
talked about that earlier behind the scenes. And no one in the North calls them, they call them, the Watch or the Black Brothers, but not Black Crows.
Do we even know if Mance can read and write?
Yeah, he can, because
Yes,
he used to be a Night's Watch member.
Right.
But what was he as a Night's Watch?
Also, he used to be a troubadour. He plays the harp.
So he reads music at least.
Yeah,
I mean,
and tells stories.
Right. Do you ever now you guys are into the history of Westeros, Bael the Bard, the story of Bael the Bard?
Yeah.
I mean, that lines
I
up
love
with
that
Mance.
story.
Yeah.
Fun little thing. The person who announces Ragnarok,
Mm-hmm.
so that first warns about it in the myth, is a minstrel.
Oh my god!
And Mance Raider is the first one who talks about the White Walkers invasion.
Yes, he is,
and he's a minstrel. Plays the harp.
We're doing a whole one on the Norse. We really are. I mean, we've said a lot already, but I think we should break it down from start to end. Okay, we'll go on to that again another time. But so we all think Mance had some hand in the writing of this. I think it definitely is his. I do still wonder about Stannis and the death thing. I think maybe it's a red herring to make us believe Stannis was involved in the pink letter. Now that we pointed those things out, I mean, the Reek thing was the best. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Ramsay Bolton.
It says your false king lied. How would Ramsay know that Stannis has lied about anything?
Right.
He's never interacted with him and never even heard from him.
Right. That's absolutely right.
And it sounds like an accusation. Your false king lied, and so did you.
Right.
And you told the world you burned the king beyond the wall. How would Ramsay know this?
Well, that was another question I had. Would they have told, would that have gotten to Winterfell already that he burned, that they burned Mance radar? Yeah. Mance Rider.
I don't know. I don't think Jon Snow announced it.
No.
They just burned him.
Instead, you sent him to Winterfell to steal my bride from me. So again, even if they caught him doing shady stuff, how would they know it was Mance?
Yeah, Stannis would
unless
have
he tortured the shit out of him, well, even Ramsay. How would Ramsay know unless, he might have tortured him. He might have done some stuff, but that was another reason why I thought maybe it could be Ramsay, because he could have tortured Mance enough to get the information he needed.
Oh yeah. If you get skinned, you're going to talk.
Yes. What if it's someone inside Winterfell?
Other than Mance?
Mm-hmm.
There's this cloaked figure though that man saw.
Yes.
Someone seems to think it's Benjamin Stark.
Oh.
Yeah, doing a little gorilla thing. But he certainly didn't write that letter.
No.
No.
I mean,
But
someone wants Jon Snow to
it's
come down.
well, it's signed though, Trueborn Lord of Winterfell.
Right.
Ramsay's not Trueborn. He's a
Right.
bastard.
He is a bastard, but he ever since he was he does sign things with a lot more too. He wouldn't just say true-born son of Winterfell. He would say, you know, rightful heir of Winterfell now, and heir of Hornhill, and this and that. Like, I true born is not the wording I think he would have used.
No, he would go like rightful something.
Right.
He
Now,
wouldn't say Trueborn.
and you know Stannis wouldn't mess that up. Stannis wouldn't write that.
No,
He would maybe put Lord of Winterfell, because technically he's not even the Lord of Winterfell right now. You know, I mean, his father is. So I can't even see Stannis writing that. It is something that Mance might write to stick it to Jon, to get even under Jon's skin even more. So it's Mance. Okay, we solved that clue. We solved that one. Damn.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Mance.
Does anybody in the chat think it's anybody else? I just would like to know that before we wrangle this one up. Our raves were the most famous. Oh, okay, they're talking about raves. And then Dinosaur just wants to make sure we say happy day to you all. So we're gonna wrap this one up. I think we've talked. Maybe next time we'll go more north. We'll go wall with Jon, and we'll talk more about the cave, because I think those are two very important areas to discuss. But let's sum it up here. I think I'll start. I think Stannis will win the battle in the village. I think Stannis now, because of the hill tribes or mountain tribes, will take, and the gargoyles crumbling will take Winterfell. I believe Stannis then will start south. I really think he feels the need to heal the Westeros, and he does state something. You know, he put the cart. Davos told him he put the cart ahead of the race, or whatever, or ahead of the horse. That he was trying to, you know, instead of healing the country first and then fighting the others, he was trying to fight the others and then leave the country last. So he needs to heal the country. He's going to go down to King's Landing, or at least draw them out, and somewhere in between, he's going to get killed. Or he will be crowned king and live forever. What do you guys think?
I think you're pretty much spot on. I think Stannis is gonna win at Winterfell, but he's gonna die late in book 6 or early in book 7. I don't think he's gonna survive.
Sucks.
As for Mance Raider, I'm not sure what the heck is gonna happen with him. I don't see him surviving either, but they faked his death for a reason, so he's gonna be alive for a while longer, I think.
Right. He has something that needs to be done. I know that much.
Yeah, because George Martin doesn't kill off characters willy-nilly. There's always a point to it, and
Yes.
for the most part, it's foreshadowed in a way.
Right.
You can always see why. But yeah, I think the Winterfell battle is gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen when Stannis finds out that his daughter has been burned, though, because I think that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, we're going to discuss that next week, or if you guys want to do it next week, because I think that's going to be, that might force him to go north, because he will want a reckoning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he loves his daughter. That is the one thing in the world I think he actually loves.
And if something happens to her,
yep,
even if he does become a king, he won't be able to have an heir because his wife can't have kids anymore.
Right. Right. You're absolutely right.
So if she dies, the line ends.
Right. Because everybody else is dead. It'll go to a cousin of some sort, Storm's End, and he does not want that.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that will serve as kind of like a boost for the sacrifice itself,
Mm-hmm.
the last of a line, right?
Right. And King's blood, which I
Yeah.
think is Valerian blood, but we could talk about that next week when we talk about Melisandre. Christy, what do you think?
I agree with y'all wholeheartedly. Well, I don't think Stannis is gonna. He might be a king for a fashion or like a minute or two,
Right.
but he's sorry, Scott. He's gonna die.
I know.
Oh, actually, that reminds me. There was an interview with George Martin about the throne itself,
Mm-hmm.
and when he was being interviewed, Tommen is the one sitting on the throne,
Right.
and he said that there's a few people that will sit on the throne before the end.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, so one of them might be Stannis.
I truly believe he will at least be crowned king of the seven. Yeah,
Seven
whatever.
Seas.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to
Seven
say that.
kingdoms.
I was
Yeah,
about to say that.
and then there's that vision that Daenerys has
Yeah.
about Stannis, and he's wearing a shadow of a crown.
Right.
So that could mean he only has it for a little while, or he almost gets it,
Mm-hmm.
or he's supposed to have it. You know, there's a lot of
There's so much that can happen,
yeah,
man. And there's been
yeah,
so much foreshadowing for everybody. Like it could easily go Fagon, Stannis, Daenerys,
or he
John,
just or he
and
just
then
takes the
Bran
north and puts his
succeeds,
throne in the Shadow Tower.
which he did. He did make his castle, right?
Yeah,
We'll talk about that one because that's an interesting castle to pick. But
yeah.
that'll be on next week. That's a cliffhanger, everyone. So you all 9 or 8 of you better come back and watch it. I like to thank my guests for coming in. Christy, once again, let them know where you're at and where they can find you.
I'll just put my Twitter because I mean that's where pretty much anybody can find me. But my channel is according to Christy, and I do some live streams on Thursdays. I have a Queen's Council, and pretty much on Friday nights after everybody else's live streams, we like to go on the people of Walmart.com and just basically laugh.
It's awesome.
Right.
It really is. It's a good stress reliever. That's what I think.
I love it. I'm gonna have to make one of those. So please, guys, check out Christy on Twitter, and that's at According to Christy, right? Or Critter.
It's critters. I just put it in the
Oh, okay,
in the
good.
chat.
And Stig is definitely a Twitter guy, but he does have a YouTube channel.
Up until recently, I had a tiny one, only 8 minutes of whatever nonsense I had put up just to have some. But a few days ago, I uploaded a ton of retro stuff.
Oh, nice.
So I'm now up to almost an hour and a half.
Nice.
So if you go by minutes, that's one hell of an update.
Yeah. I'm ready,
So,
man. I'm
yeah,
ready.
there's old retro commercials there, and some old cartoons.
Yeah. I'm going to have to check that out.
It's funny, Scott, because one of the, you know how things, there's a comments where can we be YouTube friends? I'm like, that's such a bot. And Steve's replies like, no.
That's great. That's great. There's a couple of those out there. That's the best. I also like to thank author Stephen Walton for showing up that piece of. Anyways, he's out of the club now. And then next week we might have another guest. So
he's lost beyond the wall.
He's lost beyond the wall. But this may become a weekly thing. We might start just a tad bit later.
Actually,
to get the kids to sleep first.
Something just hit me.
Yeah.
It's about Jon Snow warging into the wolf.
Okay. Set it up for next week. I want to hear it. Let's do it.
George Martin said that book 6 would take us far further north than we've ever been before. And everyone was speculating, which character would that be from the point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ghost, Jon Snow.
No, Ghost taking off north.
Yeah, that would
he can cover a lot of ground too.
Exactly. It wouldn't take that long.
Man, we're figuring stuff out. I'm loving this. That is awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you both for coming. I really appreciate it. I had a
You're
lot of fun
welcome.
doing this, and we're going to keep this up. Hopefully next week we'll see what the wife says. Thank you everybody for coming. Please sub to both these people, follow them on Twitter. Make sure you're still sub to people, because as we learned at the beginning, people are getting unsubbed left and right. And remember, if they're calling you names, they've already lost the war. George R.R. Martin, patron saint of this